I was looking up the attendance, right? 71,189. You know what the attendance was at the Super Bowl?
What was it?
Which was, 9 months ago in the same building?
Correct.
70,048. So the League's Cup Showcase had a better attendance than the Super Bowl, Herc. Something, nothing, or everything.
Why are you the way you are?
Because I'm exagerado and you know it.
Yeah, well, it's not nothing because if you can pack in midweek 72K, you said?
Yep, just short of that.
For a glorified friendly, it's a showcase between two teams, but granted, 3 of those 4 teams are struggling, if you will, in leagues play. You get that kind of turnout, it's definitely something, right?
Why not everything?
But it can't be everything because we're comparing it to the Super Bowl. I mean, think about this for a second. Cheapest ticket for a Leagues Cup match, let's go on the high side, maybe $100.
Okay, for last night you're saying?
For last night.
And there was a lot of demand.
Yeah, huge demand, $100.
Right.
That's not an easy ticket. That's not like, all right, I'm going to go take out my family of 5 and, you know, okay. What do you think the cheapest ticket was for the Super Bowl?
Sure, much more.
$6,000.
Okay,
No,
sure.
not much more, $6,000. I was at the Super Bowl in that stadium.
Did you pay for your $6,000 ticket?
No, I did not. Thank you very much, ESPN. But I was at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's something different.
Okay, you're comparing ticket prices. Let me ask you about a comparison in atmosphere, because I thought the atmosphere in there was electric last night, with one notable exception, something we've talked about a lot on this show. We did hear the chant. We heard it
Twice.
Multiple times, and there was no stoppage in play. That aside, and that is a big aside, we'll always say that, I thought the atmosphere was just like really, really remarkable. I wonder how you thought the atmosphere from this compared to the atmosphere at a Super Bowl, which usually is much more corporate. Of course, when the Rams were playing, it was somewhat of a home field advantage. You say the atmosphere was better last night?
You mentioned corporate. I think that's a perfect way to describe the atmosphere at the Super Bowl. It's great.
Totally.
It's an awesome atmosphere. You're going to have your little concert. You're going to see a great spectacle. It's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience. But it does feel corporate. This is a fiesta.
Yeah.
This is electric. This is in your face, for better or worse. And it was in your face in a way that I've not experienced. I don't know if you've experienced this. But think about a place anywhere else around the world where you can put 2 of the most hated rivalries, okay? Like Chivas and a Club America.
Right.
2 of the most storied franchises, biggest brands in Mexico. The LA Galaxy, the franchise brand of what was Major League Soccer for the longest time, with its new neighbor and their big stars. Put them all in the same place.
Yeah, and not have any problems.
And not have any problems.
With the aside, of course, of hearing the chant. We can't say no problems. But yeah, we were all surprised that there wasn't
I'm surprised.
Right? We were kind of taken aback. It was a very, I don't want to say family friendly, but it felt like a very safe environment for having all sorts of tinder in there.
I'll go really quickly back to the chant. It was maybe the sound system wasn't working? No, because we heard that. We heard them run test on it right before the game, so we know that was up and running. So I don't know what's going on right there. But yes, much more of a family environment, much more of a festivity, festival, if you will, a celebration, a showcase in every sense of the term. It was unlike an atmosphere I've ever experienced.
Right. All right, so the bigger question is then, because I think what we saw last night really is the best case scenario. You have the biggest brands possible in this competition, and you had them in the best market possible in this competition. So if we roll it forward from 2022 to 2023, is what we saw last night something that you can carry over once everybody's involved, once all 47 teams in the two leagues are involved?
If you're asking me if we're going to see the same type of environment from day one, no, because you've mentioned and you said it, and it's clearly what we have to focus on here. That's a hand-picked best-case scenario. I'm taking the 2 of the biggest brands here and 2 of the biggest brands there and putting them into the mecca of football on the West Coast, which is Los Angeles.
And the home market for 2 of those brands.
And the home market for 2 of those brands. That's best case scenario for everybody who runs Leagues Cup, for everybody who works in television. That's what you want. But I was working Fútbol Picante a while ago, maybe 6-7 months ago, when the idea of Leagues Cup and the format of the tournament, the mini World Cup came about. And I was with Chelis, who was an ex-coach of mine at Puebla, who now works with us in TV. He's our colleague, and he said, "This is terrible. Could you imagine Cincinnati versus Puebla in a neutral venue?"
And this is a guy who coached Chivas USA, too. So
it's a guy who coached Chivas USA. But it's true. You may get a lot of more of those games that people are just going to be like, whatever. Unless you're a Cincinnati fan, unless you're a Puebla fan, unless you're a Querétaro fan or a San Jose fan, you're not going to really care about. But when you get into the nitty-gritty, when you get into the upper echelon, when you get to the elite, the cream of the crop, that's when it gets good.
So what they're banking on, basically, is that people who like individual teams will care when it's not their team playing against an MLS. And to that end, I was interested in something last night, because the Chivas Galaxy game was half full, right? I think that was, well, whatever. It wasn't full, right? It wasn't full for the first game. And I think that was reflected not just in the atmosphere, but in kind of the intensity of the game itself. For the LAFC America game, it was packed. And what that tells me is, yes, LAFC and America fans were there. You know what else it tells me? The Galaxy fans stayed. The Chivas fans stayed. And I know that LAFC has its interests and its stars, and America has its reasons to watch too. But if I'm Liga MX or if I'm MLS, that makes me hopeful. Not that everybody is going to watch Cincinnati Puebla, but that there will be some interest from people not involved in those games.
Can I increase your hope here?
Okay.
The producer just whispered something into my ear.
Go on.
The little angel right here.
Angel, devil, depends on
the producer and I live in Los Angeles.
Yes, okay.
It's 5:30 midweek in Los Angeles.
Yes.
On the 405 to get to the stadium. You think people are going to go out of work and get there? Listen, the Laker games, Clipper games, whatever you want, the same thing happens. People are fashionably late in Los Angeles, but they still show up, and you saw that.
Okay. Another thing that'll dictate, I think, just how much the intensity of last night carries over is the prize money, which we have been hearing of late is going to be pretty big. So once we really get a grasp of what that is, how it compares to like MLS Cup and CONCACAF Champions League.
Could you imagine if it's more?
Oh, I think it has to be more, right? It has to be more to really get these.
What would that do to the player?
To buy in. Yeah, it'll definitely be intense.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.